Hey gang,
Howdy, howdy.
Honest Hour is back.
Yet another episode. We're going to have to go back and count the ones so that we can start saying, hey, welcome to episode 65 of The Honest Hour, right?
Episode 65. That's right. We will have to start counting.
I have no idea what episode this number is. I just pulled that straight out of nowhere.
No, that was from the Latin dictionary of Roxanne, Annus Extractus.
I don't like that dictionary too much. Pages smell funny in that dictionary.
They do smell. Well, also in the Roxanne Faux Latin dictionary, well, a lot of real estate terms like annus protectus.
Oh, yeah. That's a business term, not just a real estate term. Right?
That's right. Well, hey, what we're talking about today is how on earth are we going to pay for all this?
Yeah, that is one thing that is starting to trickle out now, and people are starting to realize, well, wait a minute, that $25 billion that we gave to the airline industry, what the current trillions, right, that they're discussing at the moments now. That money is not, our parents always taught me as a kid that it doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
So where is this money going to come from?
Well, and we've never seen anything like this, right? We've never seen the need to boost up employment, boost up small businesses, bail out huge industries, not to mention the residual, the strains that these are putting on the hospital systems, the strains that it's putting on education systems, right? And one of the things that all of those have in common is public funding. Right, so we're already starting to see. I was reading something, Fox article, and they said that in Nashville, Tennessee, they will be increasing property taxes by 34%.
Ouch!
34%.
I can't even imagine. Right? Just hey, congratulations! Your taxes are a third higher from where they were previously.
Yeah. So we've got,
It's a $3,000 tax bill. That's an additional $1,000.
That's an additional $1,000. That's it. So that is another $100 a month in tax payments, right?
Yeah.
Some households can afford that. A lot of households can't, right? Especially not right now.
Just any sort of additional, revenue that are taxes or costs that are going on these people. They're barely making ends meet now, or they're making decisions of, okay, so here's all of our bills. Which one?
Health insurance, mortgage, right? Which one don't I pay this month?
Right. See, I need food to continue to live. I need the roof over my head so that I can maintain, shelter. So those are some big ones there. Heat, we're in the summertime. Maybe I don't pay the gas this month.
That's right. Right.
And then you're going to throw another third on top of that on the budgets that are there with no foreseeable sight in terms of the employment coming back majorly.
That's right. You've got this layering in on it, a ton of, in this country, for better or for worse, we've got most people's health insurance benefits are tied to employment. So when we see these type of huge unemployment numbers, we're also now seeing the number of uninsured increasing drastically. That puts further strains on our medical systems and hospital systems, because now they've got people who used to have insurance and now they're walking into the emergency room for a cold or for COVID. And those funds have to come from somewhere. And, we're seeing it all across the country. We're talking about massive property tax hikes. Dallas is looking at 8%, 34%, as I said, in Nashville. We're looking at California starting to tax commercial real estate, which they didn't before. We're looking at a payroll tax increase in Seattle of 2.4%. New Jersey is borrowing $10 billion. Billion with a B, to deal with a budget shortfall, right? And
even with that money there, Rox, that's just they're borrowing the money, but that's going to carry an interest cost. right? So now all of a sudden, it's like your credit card sort of a deal, right? You're in a pinch, you need to use a credit card, but now that $200 purchase is going to become a $500 purchase down the road. So that 10 million that New Jersey is borrowing, there's going to be an interest cost on that. So maybe it's 12, 13 billion that they end up having to repay. So now where does that money come
Right.
from? You
So,
know?
I think that we just need to all be prepared personally and as communities that um, that the only way that this unprecedented event can be paid for is with taxes, and there's no we don't have an agenda one way or another. It's just, again, we pull out our little crystal ball and dust it off. We already see municipalities, states, most states have to have balanced budgets. The federal government can borrow money, right? But
They're good at that.
they're really good at that, right? And it just goes downhill. If the federal government borrows money to push money into the coffers of the state governments, which arguably really need it right now, then we just see increasing deficits at the federal level. And at some point that has to be paid off or balanced, right? And there's only two ways to do that. We saw that in our own businesses. We've been remargining to handle this. You can cut expenses or you can increase revenue.
Right.
Much you can cut in expenses when you've got the type of, it's impossible to cut expenses right now because of the massive new expenses that we're putting on the books,
right?
Unless in order to cut the type of expenses we would need to pay for this thing, we need to get rid of like Medicare, all of it, Social Security, all of it, Medicaid, just massively cut back these things, and we probably still wouldn't pay that bill. So the only other option is increased revenue, and that means taxes.
That's it. That's it. I mean, and even with the Medicare and Social Security and all those sorts of things, you cutting those, the downward effect of that is now the exposed or the most vulnerable, just don't have any sort of income or any sort of medical coverage. And we're right back to what you were talking about before. They're walking into the ERs with no coverage. And so, I mean, you're the only thing. There may be some fat, the specialty programs, the different things like that always come out during the election. You
can always find fat. Yeah.
So there's some fat that can be trimmed, I think, out of the state budgets, and they can get serious about those sorts of things. But it's not going to be long before you start getting to muscle and before you start getting to bone. And when you start doing those sorts of cuts, those are extremely painful, and are going to be resisted very heavily,
and not even possible. You look at where Colorado tends to turn to education first, right? But you just look at the reopening plans that we're seeing around the country and in Colorado, right? And these are going county by county in a lot of cases, but a lot of them are doing either full shutdown, no kids back at school again, or some combination of remote learning and smaller classes. Well, in order to get kids back into school safely, it means smaller classes, that means more teachers, that means more management, that means making sure somebody is herding the cats to do their protective program. That's more cleaning staff to swab down at just a point where Colorado might take a look at its first usual target, which is education funds. What it's going to cost to educate our kids has just exponentially gone up.
Right. Your examples that you were just talking about are for the in-person learnings, right?
That's right.
All the technology and the stuff to be able to do the remote learning is, going to be out there. And, if there is more outbreaks and things along those lines, we're going to be right back to, the remote learning sort of pieces. And so where does the money come from for the technology on that sort of stuff? I agree. There's not going to be the ability to cut from the education. In fact, I think there's going to need to be, like you were pointing out, more money sent that direction just to be able to accommodate this new situation that we're in. So,
and we can't cut from healthcare, right?
Right.
One of the usual real sources for tax revenue has to do with gas taxes. We've got people driving less. The energy sector was already in trouble, so it's not like we're going to see a lot of revenue coming from that direction. So I think we should just be prepared. We should be prepared, and we should be watching our dollars and cents right now because our cost of living is going to go up. It has to. There's no way to cut our way out of this mess. We're going to have to increase revenue.
By the way, we haven't even touched on tourism.
On tourism, oh yeah, yeah.
The
Oh,
tourism dollars. Who's traveling to, you know, much in these days? That's obviously dropping down. And then, you know, here we come up on the winter time, which Colorado is famous for the mountains, for skiing, for all those sorts of things. Yeah, I'm gonna say we're gonna get a hit from tourism dollars, you know, in 2020 from all of this stuff too. So.
Yeah.
All signs are pointing towards increase in taxes. Both property taxes and income taxes
That's
are
right.
just about certain.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable. There's no other way it can happen. Just apply your intellect to the question. We
Yeah.
can't cut our way out of this. We're going to have to get more money, and the only way we get more money is through more taxes. And like I said, we don't have a dog in this fight. We're going to be paying those higher taxes too, and I don't see any way out of it.
I don't think it's even a political issue, right? I mean, it's where or how the taxes are implemented or something along those lines. Now we're starting
People
to get
can
into
argue about it. Yeah.
right, well, where it should come from. But I think both sides, the partisan piece is going to be, we need more revenue.
That's
and that
right.
means higher taxes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, honest hour as ever. We try to make up for with charm, honesty, and good looks. With
Tiny
the,
domes
and the many dome, the dark messages that we're bringing forth. We suspect this will be the name of our honest hour for a bit, but keep coming back to us because we're thinking about this stuff. And we're thinking about you. Reach out if you need anything.
We'll talk to you soon.